We're back in session. Thank you very much. For our last presentation of the day, before we spend some time on any discussion that we might want to have, we have Her Honor Judge Karen Brisbane. Thank you, with Justice Court.
Thank you. The first slide shows the inside of the courtroom. You might be interested in the technology that we use on a daily basis. It's in regular use and it really makes us more efficient. In the bottom of the photo, the first photo is a counsel table. We have a microphone that amplifies a citizen's voice when they're speaking with the judge. And the little gray rectangle in the base of the counsel table is a pop-up audio-video port that allows officers to show videos of their traffic violations on that big screen that's mounted from the ceiling. The small square table that's just in front of the bench has a document reader installed in the ceiling directly above the table, and citizens that make graphs, bring maps, charts, and photographs can place their items on that table, and it also projects onto the big screen. The white rectangle above the court seal is the ADA hearing assistance for people that are hard of hearing. We give them headphones and then they can hear what's being said in the courtroom. What you don't see is what's hidden behind the bench, and we made sure that there was a raised wooden piece across the top of the bench, so what the judge is doing back there can't be seen by people, so that there's a direct interaction with people. But what I'm doing back there, we have 3 monitors. One of them shows what's on the big screen, so if a video is being played, I can see it right there in front of me. I don't have to turn around. I can still see what's going on in the room. The second one is the second monitor holds the electronic court files that are on the docket for the day, so I can review the files. I can see what's going on. We have no paper. We don't use paper files, which is really unusual for the legal profession. And the third computer monitor allows the court or judge to enter the judgments as the cases are being heard and send the judgment electronically to the front desk where a clerk is sitting waiting for the person to come out. That person can then get a copy of the paperwork from the court proceeding or set up a payment plan if they're paying a fine or something like that. So all the technology we're using in the courtroom saves staff. We don't have to have a staff person sitting in the courtroom with the judge. There's one security deputy and that's it in the courtroom. Justice Court has a very convenient location for citizens just off I-205 in the Clackamas Town Center parking lot. We have unlimited free parking, and an interesting fact is that Justice Court's seen an increase in citizens using public transportation to get to and from court. We not only hear traffic violations, most of those people probably drive unless their license is suspended. Hopefully they don't drive in that situation, but people that are appearing for eviction proceedings are also taking the bus and Max Line. They both stop at the town center, so we're seeing increased foot traffic, which is good for access to justice. Justice Court has a balanced budget and receives no general fund support. Included in the Justice Court expenses is revenue that's collected, then passed through to local cities and the state according to Oregon law, and also based on the fact that both state troopers and all the local cities in our county cite violation cases to Justice Court. Justice Court reduced its contingency by $700,000 to help balance the county budget. And after the annual audit, there will be additional revenue transferred to other departments through interfund transfers based on the budget committee decisions. Justice Court operates with 4 clerks working 3.75 time, 1 full-time manager, 1 full-time judge, 1 sheriff's deputy for security, and 2 additional security staff. With the assistance of technology services, we've developed a new program allowing eviction filers to file their cases electronically. The clerk receives those filings, processes the paperwork, and returns it electronically to the firm that's filed the case so that that firm can then print out the documents that they need to serve to make their cases go forward. And this eliminates the filer from sending a courier to the court to file cases and pick up documents and that type of thing. And during this next fiscal year, we plan to increase and expand this program to small claims filers. So we have many professional filers or people that make their living filing and presenting eviction and small claims cases. Those individuals can file with us electronically. And that was through working with technology services. In 2015, Justice Court piloted a program with the Department of Motor Vehicles, allowing courts to transmit traffic conviction data to DMV electronically. And Justice Court's proud of the fact that the Oregon Judicial Department adopted this e-conviction program, and every circuit court in Oregon is now using the program. In addition, the Department of Motor Vehicles is implementing new software, and Justice Court's already met with the director of DMV and other managers at DMV and plan to expand the e-filing program and allow courts to file all the notices and other documents that we file daily with DMV electronically. Now we have to still mail some documents or fax documents, and electronic is the way DMV is going to go, and we want to be right there with them. Okay, if you have any questions, that's the Justice Court presentation.
Commissioner Bernard has questions?
Well, from what I can see on your budget, you're living off your beginning balances every year, and it's going down, down, down. Right? I mean, it looks like you're losing every year. According to this, your expenses exceed your revenues.
Where are you saying, what page?
No.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at this page right here in
Okay, well,
page 6.
The last page. Page 6.
every year we bring in a certain revenue, but we don't know what that will be until the audit's complete. So we're still collecting revenue for the current year.
Okay,
And so we should be up to the correct
Okay, here
amount
we
by
go.
the end of June.
Okay.
The
so
estimates
that's-
don't reflect what will actually be brought in, but we can't anticipate how much revenue there'll be because it depends on how many citations are filed with the court and how many civil cases are filed with the court.
okay, but I'm looking at the
Which
current
page are you on?
operating revenue. So amended, the third line, 1819, amended budget. Operating revenues, 3721, right? $3,721,000. And then you go down, your operating expenses are $4,918,085. That's $800,000 above your revenue, right?
Well,
I know, and you add the beginning balance, but obviously you have to take away from the beginning balance to make it balance. So your operating revenues, your balance is slowly declining, until you reach a point when there won't be any, right?
well,
The other thing is, I'd love to see a balance sheet. Because I know that your ability to collect fines and fees is poor. I mean, the person walks out the door, signs an agreement, the first money goes to the state, and then you're lucky to get any more money in some cases, correct?
that's probably true. The first $50 of every fine goes to the state, and then after that, the fine revenue stays with the court unless the case has been filed by the state police or local police. We're using a collection agency to help collect revenue, and we're also contacting people. But it's true that we can't force people to pay if they're not going to pay.
And in some cases, I
Can't.
agree that, to take somebody's car away and their license away and then have a huge court bill means they'll be out on the street homeless. But
Well, the sanction that we have is to notify DMV to file a driver's license suspension. So if they care about their driver's license and their driving privileges, they're more likely to pay, but if they don't care about it, then you're right. We use a collection agency as well.
which charges 50%, something like that.
Yeah, 23.
23. Anyway, let's answer the first question.
Is that the question about the reserves? Or
Uh,
the
my-
operating revenue and
My
expense?
question is, your expenses exceed your revenue.
So actually, this year's budget includes a $700,000 transfer to the general fund. If you take that out, and normally they don't budget for that transfer, they wait until the audit to see how much revenue comes in. So if you take the 700,000 out of transfer, you're at about 3.839
Okay.
in expenses. So are they about equal? And that's so their revenue here is pretty conservative. Again, I'm not exactly sure how they come up with their number, but they base it more based on cash collections, and then there's more cash collections after the time they budget, and so that's why they end up with more revenue. So if you look at the other 2 years, 17 it looked like was slightly high in expense, but then 18 you had the reverse and you had way more revenue than expense.
Yeah, but in the
I
amended
think
budget,
historically they've given back between 800 and $1 million to the general fund.
yeah, but
the
if you
Justice
look at
Court.
the amended budget 18-19, there's an $800,000 difference. Expenses exceed revenues by 800,000 approximately.
But it's because they had the big cash carryover. So that again, that $1.3 million to the general fund doesn't get calculated until they have their actual results and they figure out how much they can transfer and still maintain the reserves. So I mean, you were looking at those numbers, but if you look at that interfund transfer number,
Yeah.
that's all money they're giving back to the general fund.
it's
So you
just a
could take that out,
placeholder?
and their operations are going to be way less than
Placeholder,
their
I'd say.
expenses are going to be way less than their revenue.
But do they actually transfer the,
Yes, all of that money has been realized to the general fund. And the 700,000 originally they had budgeted for 1.4 in contingency, and they either volunteered or we asked, and so they said they'd give us 700,000 now. So again, we're putting that in there. Normally, that transfer line before the amended budget would be zero.
yeah, I get that, but, because I was part of the negotiation on how those revenues were to be divided at one point. But, I mean, it still makes it look bad. The beginning balance is definitely declining. It's down substantially from the year before, but it also went up.
Our
No,
our
it's been
budget is,
declining.
well, we budget conservatively because if we budget saying that we're going to bring in 6 million and then it's actually 5 million, then we're in the hole. If we say we're going to make 4 million and we come in with 5 million at the end of June 30th, then
Sure, I get
not
that,
good.
but
That's-
the goal is to be as close as
well, we,
possible.
right,
no-
well, we have no idea. I
Yeah.
mean, we're trying to be as close as we can and still be under the amount that we think it'll be. Otherwise, you'll count on the revenue that's not there,
Yeah.
or somebody will.
So
The
earlier today, I mentioned the unpaid fines were in the amount of somewhere around 7 million. That is, I talked to John Foote about that a little bit, and what they did in the past and what they're doing now. In the past, we hired somebody to go after those folks, and turned out that that person was maybe a little more aggressive than they should have been. So they were terminated. But it's time to think about, that's a lot of money to sit out there, that we ought to think about how we could collect those fines. I mean, evidently, some people don't care that they lose their driver's license. There's
It's a
got to be a lot of
fact.
people.
It's a fact.
But anyway, that's of concern to me.
Ms. Lee?
That answered my question. I think I thought that the money shown here for fines was actually collected, and I was wondering what it was that was uncollected. It sounds like it's 7 million more than what's shown here.
7 million?
No, that's not really shown
Not
here.
here. It's
That's
not
more
in
of
not
a balance sheet figure
Mm-hmm.
than it
But I
is.
was wondering what
If it were
was.
collected, it would be another about 7
Right.
million, right? If it were collectible,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice to collect that.
Judgments are good for 20 years, and we have people coming back after several years, getting back on track. So we work with them if they're in touch with us. And the only other sanction that the legislature's contemplating removing through legislation is the license suspension. The bill's in Ways and Means now, so.
Yeah, but in a small business, somebody doesn't pay their bill and they come back 5 years later. And I actually had a customer do that once. It's nice, but, I needed the money back 5 years ago. And you do too, or we do too.
Yeah, I'd love to see some of my uncollectibles show up, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I have.
Well,
Occasionally.
and the value of something from 5 years ago to today is vastly different too. So it's unfortunate that it can't be collected. I can see the conundrum in that, though.
And you do a great job, and you're doing small claims now, or
Small claims, evictions, and violations.
yeah, which is
Wow.
something you've
Evolved.
evolved over the years.
We do most of the evictions for the county and many of the small claims and all the violations.
Wow.
I don't have any questions.
Good. Any other questions? Seeing none.
Oh, right.
We have no other questions
Yeah, I
for
do
you?
have just one other comment. I
Okay.
meant to say this earlier, but maybe I wasn't clear. When it says our expenses are 3 million, that's not really accurate because at least 2 million of that's pass-through money.
Yeah.
Our
That's
our
true.
pass-through money shows up as an expense and it's not. So if a
Ah.
state trooper writes a ticket to us, most of that revenue is going to go back to the state.
Is that special payments?
Special payments, yes. And also places like the city of Canby cite a lot of cases to us.
Commissioner Humberston?
Could we ask in the future then, when you prepare your budget, if it's a pass-through, can you asterisk it in some way so we know that that's a pass-through? That would
We've
probably-
been asking the budget committee to do that for the last 9 or 10 years, so that would be great. We'd love that.
I think that would be helpful, I think, so that we.
That's
know
on
the
our
answer.
end, not, it's not, she doesn't mean you, she means staff, so.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see how we can make it work.
I mean, that way, we'd know that that's what's a pass-through, and that would make sense, so.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference. I mean, it's 1.8 million next budget. It makes it look a lot better.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, we thank you for your
Okay,
time
thank
today.
you.
Thank you for the diligence on the budget.
By the way, your technology advances are incredible.
Yeah,
It is really good.
that's
It really
great.
is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.